Hello and welcome to another episode of Shampoo and Booze. This is episode number 5 on shampooandbooze.com.
And these past couple of weeks have been kind of interesting because we have been actually staying in Airbnbs while we're in Europe, in Amsterdam. And
so we're guests.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It just normally won't be the case. Normally we'll just be at home and just be actually renters. But right now we're renting. At the same time, we're renting our place as well.
We're renting and renting.
We have things to talk about on both sides of the end.
Yeah, so we had planned to be in Amsterdam for about 3 weeks. And we had gotten an apartment for 2 weeks. And then we were kind of hustling to find a second
Yeah, we weren't sure. We kind of didn't want to, when we were, at home, we didn't want to make ourselves definitely stay for 3 weeks in Amsterdam. We were thinking maybe that third week we might go somewhere else.
Right.
But as always, we just love Amsterdam so much. We came here, we're like, okay, we need to find a place for that third week.
Right.
And
so what was weird about it, I think we mentioned this last time, was it seemed like there are these, we were calling them zombie listings, because we would find great places, great price, perfect neighborhood, and we would contact people that had fully open calendars, and they'd be like, sorry, it's booked. So we were like, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've noticed that in other places too, where any area will have listings that either aren't really complete, so they'll only have 2 photos. If no one's ever stayed there, that you can tell, and their calendar's wide open. So it's like a zombie listing where someone just started the listing but never completed it. And Airbnb probably doesn't really want to go and garden that stuff out because they like the fact that there's more stuff supposedly out there. But it's not real.
But it's not good because, you're getting people who are like, great, I would love to get this apartment. And it's, not really available.
I think to us, when we were actually trying to find a place, it was very annoying because we had to try and filter that stuff out ourselves. There might be 25 things that would come up, but really only 5 of them were real. And then I actually had to waste time, emailing 10 other people where their listings even looked complete, where they had numerous photos.
And they had good photos.
They actually described it, but their calendar was wide open. And then I would send them a message, and then they would message me, several hours later and say, yeah, they're booked. So it's confusing. So who did they, who booked it?
Right. The other thing that I thought was weird was one of the people who had a fully open calendar told us it wasn't available. Then just 2 days ago was like, hey, my renter's canceled, which was weird because I was like, so you really actually had renters? It wasn't so much that their calendar was just open and they forgot to say they were still in town or something. It was just a weird, psychological thing.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of, too, is that, people that have places have them booked on multiple sites.
Right.
So maybe here in Amsterdam, there's more of a European-based a rental site that might be their main one, and Airbnb might be kind of an afterthought. And so
that's a good point because we've had issues like that with HomeAway versus Airbnb where
although we're good.
Yeah. But in the beginning, I would get very overwhelmed and I'd be like, oh no, I didn't block off the second calendar, you know. But our theory was that a lot of these so-called zombie listings were people who just want to get a travel discount because Airbnb says if you list your place, you get a 25% discount to travel.
It's not even that much. It's $25.
Oh, it's $25.
I mean, it really isn't anything if you think about how much you're going to pay per night.
Yeah.
I think people are just doing that there's a lot of these zombie listings because they just kind of throw something up there and that takes them a couple of minutes and then they get $25 off.
Right.
And then
they don't look at it.
And then they just keep it up there and there's no punishment for that. They don't get pinged. Airbnb doesn't obviously bug them about it.
Although I would think that they would get, because they have to decline so many people, that they would get dinged on that.
But see, the difference is I never requested to book. I just sent an inquiry
Right.
because I didn't want to commit to places that it's for sure that was where I wanted to stay.
So you're just sending messages.
Right. And then they're
Gotcha.
just saying no. I would love better search in Airbnb, things like people that have sideway photos. It drives me crazy.
Oh, and just horrible photos. Like, it reminds me of eBay in that way, where you're like, oh, so many people have like...
Seriously.
Or a lot of those listings that we were looking at didn't have photos of the bedroom.
Right.
You're like, what room am I staying in?
Yeah.
Or if they were like, yeah, there's a backyard, you're like, show it to me. So we did finally find an actually gorgeous apartment.
That
like,
we're in right now.
We're sitting in it right now, and it was actually like a little bit overwhelming for me. I'm like, this place is really nice.
Yeah, and it was cheap too, and I figured out a way to do it because there is nothing available in our price range.
Yeah.
But what I do is I just keep that search open on my computer, and every time I sit down, it's refresh that search. So It might be every couple hours. And then I'll see if it's new pops up. And Airbnb even has a little banner that says new listing. And if this one happened to pop up, it's a couple that's going to South America, and they're just throwing their apartment on here. It's not a business. It's just their own personal apartment. And I got it probably right away.
I think you got it like right when they listed it. I think we're the first people to stay in their place, right? But someone's staying here after us is what they said when we met them. So it's kind of cool. You're like, great. I'm so glad they're like getting into it. But what was funny to me is they seemed super nervous. I don't know if they were nervous because they wanted to make sure that we liked the place, or that they were nervous about us staying in their apartment.
It was probably both.
Probably both.
But what helped us is that I could say, well, check out my account, and you can see that we have an Airbnb on there with a bunch of people have stayed, and they say that our place is good. So
yeah. They know we're professionals, basically.
Yeah,
I mean, she even said that. She's like, you're pros, you know? So I wanted to just assure them, we're going to take care of your place. No worries.
Yeah,
and,
it's interesting. This is the fourth place we've stayed in Amsterdam over the past couple of years.
3 years, yeah.
Each time, it's never been a business for someone for the most part.
Right.
It's always been just you're renting while they're
away,
and it makes some extra cash.
Yeah.
And these people actually and I love it. They cleaned out their drawers. They have an extra spare room, and they've actually locked it, so all their stuff is in there. But it's nice. It feels like you aren't just coming into someone's house with all their stuff everywhere.
Which is what the case was with the last apartment we were in.
Right.
I mean, we were joking, our clothes were in the windowsills and on the floor.
Right.
Because you're like, there's no place. But these people were super, and they were so cute. They, printed out the whole, sheet. This is the Wi-Fi password. These are cool bars nearby. You're like, okay, they get it. They probably stayed in other Airbnbs. So that was a little bit refreshing. It did cost more than the other place, though.
Yeah.
So.
But it's interesting. So at the place that we just left, they were just renting it just on the side, and they didn't have a cleaning fee. And when we leave a place, we always wonder, how much should we clean? Right. And really, the answer for us is we clean it like we would want it to be clean. Right. So we did quite a bit of
cleaning. Last night, I scrubbed the toilet. I cleaned the bathroom. I washed all the towels and hung them up.
Yep. Cleaned the dishes.
I cleaned the dishes. I put all the dishes away. It was kind of one of those things. I know we paid for it and whatever, but number one, I want a good review. And number two, when we go away, we have a friend who stays at our house who also takes care of our farmhouse. And when we get home, our house is super clean and tidy. He even leaves food in the fridge for us because he knows we've had a long flight. And that is the nicest thing. It makes me be you can always stay at my house. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I think for us, it's you try and keep it in the same shape it was when
you walked in.
That you found it.
If not better. If not better.
Yeah.
No, I mean, seriously, there are some people's apartments where I'm I definitely cleaned when I got here.
I mean, Airbnb is it's this huge business, and they're going to go public and make a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And that's cool. But ultimately, it's about connecting us people who are using it instead of going to like hotels.
Right.
And it's only going to work if people kind of help each other
Are
out
courteous
like this.
towards each other.
Because if not, we all might as well just stay in hotels where you just throw everything on the floor, walk out, and just have the maid clean it.
Right, exactly. So,
although when I stay in a hotel,
I don't do that. I don't either. I know.
So,
I think there's a certain, you know, different kinds of people that leave places super messy and people that don't. So I think we're pretty tidy.
So that's our story of actually staying in Airbnbs currently.
Right.
And again, for us, it always helps when we stay in places. It really does inform us when we in our own business.
Yes.
Because we're like, oh, I wish this was here. And I've even been taking notes on, it's my phone. I'm like, I have a whole list of things when we get home.
To make sure.
Of what we're going to do in our rental.
Right.
Adding things.
Right.
I'm taking some things away that I don't think should be there. Cleaning some things in a way like, oh, I haven't been cleaning that as well as I should be.
Yeah, I should pay attention to that every time. Yeah. The other thing, too, is just to note we've been watching those shows. Those but seriously, like I know it sounds so silly.
It's called what?
What's it called? It's called
Hotel Impossible.
Hotel Impossible, right? And it's so silly because it's reality TV that I hate. But the great thing about that show is you see things on that show and you're like, oh, I don't want to do that. I have to make sure I, X whatever the thing is.
No, they're good shows. I mean, it's just like how to run a business in
a hospitality
business, a logical way.
Yeah, exactly. So it's funny just to see, because there's things that I put on my own list where I'm like, oh, I need to make sure I check, this thing.
So this past week, while we've been on its vacation, we have rented our Airbnb, a rental 5 nights out of the week. So that's good.
Yes, that's great.
And it was to one person. It was actually a couple, a newlywed couple.
They were on their honeymoon. Yeah. I don't know if they were traveling throughout our area, but they stayed for 5 nights.
Yeah.
I think they just left today, right?
Which is great. And so we have our friend who's being our caretaker of the place. And it's interesting. We had our first kind of emergency where we had a guest leave on a Sunday, and she wrote us and said, I think your AC is broken.
Oh my God.
And so we're like, great. It's like holiday, a weekend, it's Labor Day.
It was Labor Day weekend,
And that's just where we had to see if what we put in place is going to work.
Right.
And that is, instead of just hiring a maid to clean up, we hired a carekeeper.
Right, a caretaker.
Caretaker. That's a word.
Yeah, a caretaker, who hopefully is seriously taking care of issues.
We're paying him more than we would just a maid, and to have him take ownership. So I contacted him. It's great. I can just be on. It's my phone anywhere, and I'm messaging him, and I tell him that the name of our AC guy.
Yeah, call him.
And then he did everything. He got in touch. It's with the AC HVAC guy. Set up a time for the HVAC guy to come. The HVAC guy came the next day, fixed it, $150.
Thank God.
And he fixed it, and it's done, and we're happy. So there's really only one day of having a renter in there with no AC. And
in the top floor. The bottom floor did have AC.
Right.
And luckily the weather was cool. But the key that we found was 2 things: communication with our caretaker and communication with the renters.
Yeah.
You were good. So that's part of your job in this whole thing, is making sure you're writing them notes, texting them, whatever. And you were just like, just to be clear, this person's coming.
Right. It's before they came, I let them know what was happening, so it wasn't a surprise.
Yeah.
And then the caretaker, our friend, when he showed them the place, he told them as well. So they understood, and they're like, okay, no big deal.
No big deal, yeah.
And that's what we find, because that's what we like. Just say what's happening.
Yeah.
As long as people have transparency and that they know it's being worked on, people will just be very generous and
very flexible. So the great thing is, because people are on vacation a lot of times, they're, they'll hang out at the house, but they're gonna go kayaking or hiking. So they're like, all right, we're gonna be gone all day, so it's no big deal. It's not like, that's to me an advantage of being in a, vacation land.
Yeah.
Also.
Because, I mean, really the most important thing on any of these online businesses, whether it be selling on eBay or Airbnb or in whatever business that you might have online, is its reputation.
Right.
I mean, I guess it's true in anything, but really, like, that's the most important thing. So that's why you just have to be open and honest about what's going on.
Right.
And communicate well,
Right. And do your very best to fix a problem in a timely manner.
Right. And that's not just some kind of like hippie, like you want to be really nice kind of thing. I mean, because that's, if you have consistently good reviews from people, that means you can charge top dollar for your place.
Yep.
So far, we've gotten all five stars for the most part.
Keep my fingers crossed.
And so I feel confident when we're asking a considerable amount of money for our place in comparison to other people in our area. Like we're more on the top end, but we're staying booked. I think if we had lower stars because we just weren't really caring or not.
And there are people in our area with lower stars.
I think people would be much more hesitant, willing to
put down the money. Yeah. I mean, I see it. There's some people in our area that have like 3.5 stars. That's pretty freaking bad for Airbnb. Right. I mean, they look at that like, that's really bad.
Yeah.
He has 5 reviews and he has 2 bad reviews. I'm like, oh, dude, like you got off on the wrong foot.
Yeah.
So you really have to just be obsessive about it, And I really think it I really think it weeds people out because like you have to care, you really have to care and have people in place that are going to care if you can't be there. And some people are like, I don't want to do this. And I get that, And,
it's last week we talked about, a lot of this having a place online, either Airbnb or through another site, is about having the right expectations.
Right.
So people come and they aren't a surprise, like, wait a second, I was expecting this because of what you said, and really it's this. Like, you said it was like a private house, but I'm here and there's like a house right next door.
Right,
like,
which...
It's not really private.
Right.
So, but it's still, we find it's hard to control people's expectations. We had a couple stay a week ago, and she gave us all 5-star. It was a good review, but she had one line where she said, we thought there was going to be a lake on our property. Because, as we say... we're near a lake.
Yeah.
Because we are. I mean,
we're near like a huge recreational lake.
It's right down the road.
Like you can walk to it.
But nowhere does it actually say, there's a lake in the backyard. But for some reason, people still have...
Yeah. But here's the thing. We've stayed in places that we thought were on the beach because they showed photos of the beach in their listing. And we're like, oh, it's like right on the beach, know? So we made sure that we didn't do that. I'm not putting pictures of the mountains, the river, the lake. Yeah,
that's a real big pet peeve.
Yeah.
To me, as someone who rents on Airbnb, is when people in their photos put photos of things just like
attractions.
Like tourist photos.
Yeah.
Because that happened to us. Yeah, we rented a place
in Virginia Beach.
On a coastal town, and she had a picture of you're
like a pathway to the beach.
So I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I should have read better, blah, blah, blah. But I was really bummed. And really kind of I was like, this sucks.
Yeah, you really hated
that. But,
place.
I think that the photos just need to be of what I'm going to get. Not
Well, that's why we were surprised that she said, I thought there was a private lake on the property. I'm like, we didn't show any photos of the lake for that reason because it's not on our property. Yeah. So it's hard to control people's expectations. But the great thing is she still left us a good review. So that was, it was like, whew, phew, okay. Oh my God.
So for this coming week, we have the place it's rented again. It's great. 2 weeks back to back where we just have a couple each week. They're coming and they always have a dog.
They have 3 dogs.
3 dogs, 3 old dogs. And
oh, God.
They're staying for 5 nights out of the week. So,
but I will say this, a lot of people would be like, why do you let people bring dogs? They're dirty, they're smelly, whatever. we get so many bookings with people who have dogs because we're out in the country.
Yeah.
So you want to bring your dog, they want to run around, they want to go hiking with you, and we're like, we have to do it. And it's been really good for us.
And so far, we have not seen any damage. People have seemed very, again, people treat their dogs like children.
Yeah.
And so they're very clean, it seems like. Maybe one day we'll get burned, but in the meantime, we're making good money on this. So we have a couple who are saying 5 nights, and then we have actually 6 people coming for 2 nights or staying over a weekend.
Well, it's funny because we always talk about that. Like, what's more cleaning? 2 people staying 5 nights or 6 people staying 2 nights? It's almost like it evens out.
Right.
So, the 2 people with 3 dogs staying 5 nights.
Yeah. But, again, this is the interesting thing. We're still away for the next 2 weeks. So all of these things are being handled by our friend who
so far has been spot on, great.
Just what a crazy modern world. I remember traveling in Europe right out of college back in 1995. Such a different kind of traveling. Communication was different. You had to actually call on an actual payphone, telephone. And now I'm sitting here with my phone, walking down the street, and I'm talking to it's my friend back home just through text.
Yeah.
And we're just talking about details of the rental and when people are coming, and I'm just it's like the Jetsons.
You're conducting, and what's even crazier is because we're actually full-time eBay sellers too. Right. We're conducting business that way on our phones, just walking down the street. It's just so weird.
It really. For those of us that choose to, cut the ties to full-time work and are jumping into these kind of weird businesses.
Yeah.
It's really kind of this weird golden age where all these things are possible and the communication is possible. Putting a SIM card in our phone with $10 for the whole time we're here. It just costs anything.
So crazy. And it's going to get cheaper. I remember 3 years ago it cost twice that.
Right.
And now it's at $10 for a gig of data. I'm like...
And so, one thing we're doing as we walk around is just trying to imagine our life, further along the line as we, have this business and maybe get a rental, maybe.
Right. That's in our view.
Yeah, it's just so, we could live places for 3 or 4 months at a time.
If you're willing to pay an employee,
away from home.
Or a caretaker,
yeah,
whatever.
Split the profits with
exactly.
this person. And so this to us is a big experiment. So we're here for 3 weeks. This person is taking care of our place, and we really don't have any control.
Right.
But yet it seems to be working out because I think we picked someone who's trustworthy, and that's a big deal.
And I think we're paying him enough that he feels like he wants to do it. You know what I mean? I think that's a big part of it. And something that we talk about all the time is if we didn't pay him the percentage that we're paying him, then we wouldn't make any money. We'd make $0. Right. So the fact that we're making any money at all on top of, paying him is just bonus. Right. So we're paying him 20% of the bookings. Yep. So, if he's cleaning and on call for, 5 days, he gets 20% of
So,
that booking.
It's great for him if all he has to do is clean a place.
Right.
And it's meet a couple who are staying for a week or 5 days.
Yeah.
He's doing really well.
Yeah.
That's good.
Right.
And so it's for us, it's well, why should we do that? Why don't you just pay a maid, $25 to come and clean the place?
And we know why.
But it's because when there is a problem.
The AC goes out.
Yeah, he actually probably put in 2 days of work of calling people and meeting AC people, HVAC people.
Right.
And then, it was probably a whole thing. And, but that's when he actually earned his keep.
Yeah, exactly.
But he still does well.
Yeah, exactly. And, so we want it to be worth his time because if I were doing that work, I would want it to be worth my time.
Right.
And I want him to care about the people that are there.
We see, although I'd love to talk to someone like this, a person that it manages multiple it's rentals where you're really just paying kind of a clean person, maybe paying someone by the hour to
meet and greet,
to hand off keys.
Yeah.
I feel like you then have a lack of personal touch.
That's what I get afraid of when we talk about, like, we would love to get another rental, using our profits on this business to, like, invest in another rental. I get nervous because we would have to hire someone, so I'm like, are we going to stop, like, having that personal touch? But I feel like you're going to want to employ people who you feel care about the area,
Right. I mean, I feel if you hire somebody or split the profits with someone that's invested,
right,
that's not just getting paid, $10 an hour.
Yeah.
That's getting paid fairly well.
Yeah.
Then they're invested and they care. And
so we'll see.
I think it's possible. I don't know. I mean, this is all.
This is just us having a conversation.
We are totally in fantasy land right now.
Yeah, it's just...
we talk about this. This is like, this is how we've done it, week by week and month by month. We just think about this kind of stuff.
Right. Okay, so that's it for this week on Shampoo and Booze. You can subscribe to us through YouTube or iTunes, or you can subscribe through email on our website, shampooandbooze.com. On the sidebar, you can click on email, and anytime we post, you will get an email updating you.
And, we encourage people to come to the blog if you want. If something, as we've said, has struck an idea or, its reaction, come and leave a comment. What we're looking for is to meet other people that are renting their places, either on Airbnb or another site, and we would love to have more conversation about this and just learn from people, and maybe we can help people as well.
All right. Talk to you next time.
Bye.